It's important that everyone at a shared construction project goes home safely each day. In order to do this, we have established safety rules that you must understand and we must enforce. We want you to understand our safety rules and that accidents and injuries are preventable. Injuries occur because of unsafe actions or unsafe conditions. It is Scherer's policy that all employees have a right to work in an environment free of harassment, either verbal or physical, that is based on race, religion, color, age, sex, national origin, citizenship, marital or parental status, sexual orientation, military discharge status, disability, or any other legally protected status. This policy would include any shared construction company incorporated office, job site, meeting, or event. In keeping with this commitment, we will not tolerate harassment of employees by anyone, including any manager or coworker of shared construction company based on these characteristics. Complaints will be investigated and violations dealt with fairly but firmly. Such conduct or interference with the investigation of an alleged incident may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. Employees should direct any questions or concerns about this policy to their supervisor or a human resources representative. Whether in our personal lives or at work, successful communication leads to successful results. Pre-work meetings each morning or pre-task meetings prior to the start of critical tasks help improve the communications, sets expectations, and removes questions about how to safely and effectively perform the job at hand. Good communication makes sure everyone is ready for the work ahead. It is important that everyone wears the proper clothing to minimize injuries, but also convey the professionalism we strive for. Proper clothing includes shirts with a 4-inch minimum sleeve, pants, not allowed, work boots, or professional attire. Wearing the correct personal protective equipment, or PPE, is also important out on the job sites. PPE that is required include hard hats, safety glasses, gloves, which shall be worn when handling material or performing construction activities, hearing protection, which shall be worn when exposed to noise levels above 90 decibels, and high visibility vests or shirts when working around moving equipment or vehicles. Additional PPE may be required depending on the task. Please contact the site superintendent for additional PPE requirements. Good housekeeping is a sign of a well-run job site. Every worker is responsible for their housekeeping. Aisleways and exits should be clear and clean at all times. You must dispose of scrap materials immediately, and spills should be cleaned up immediately. All electrical cords, leads, hoses, etc. should be placed to avoid tripping hazards or to prevent damage. All employees have a right to know what chemicals they work with, what the hazards are, and how to handle them safely. All containers should be labeled with the appropriate contents, and unlabeled containers of any size containing any substance is prohibited. Employees can request information from the site superintendent on any substances in the workplace. It is important you understand that there are potential health and physical hazards associated with the chemicals in the workplace. Safety data sheets and your supervisor are great resources for understanding those hazards and how to protect yourself. Fire extinguishers can be valuable in preventing the spread of fires. If a fire does occur, notify employees in the area and evacuate the area. Only extinguish the fire if you are trained and capable of doing so. If you find a defective extinguisher, let your supervisor know immediately. Hot work involves any task that creates sparks or flames, such as cutting of metal, grinding, and welding. The area must remain clean of combustibles and flammables and could include covering holes or wetting the area. A spotter should watch for wayward sparks and stay for 30 minutes after the work to look for signs of smoke or fire. Contact the site superintendent for specific requirements for hot work permits. While tools are an important part of the job, be sure to use them safely. Inspect tools daily before use. Remove and take out of service tools that are defective. Always use the right tool for the job, and use them how they are intended to be used. All extension cords and cord-connected tools must be plugged into GFCI outlets or GFCI pigtails. Inspect cords daily for missing grounding plugs, cut sheets, or fade wiring. Any damaged equipment should be removed and tagged as out of service. And keep all materials and equipment at least 10 feet away from overhead electrical lines. Prior to working on any energized equipment, you need to follow the proper lockout, tagout procedures. Energized equipment can include, but is not limited to, pneumatic, hydraulic, electrical, mechanical, thermal, or chemical systems. Please contact the site superintendent for further instructions on LOTO procedures. Working on equipment that has not been properly locked out can lead to serious injury or death. Prior to working on any equipment, employees must be trained on lockout, tagout procedures. Only employees who are trained and authorized should operate equipment. When operating heavy equipment, you must wear your seatbelt, and when working around equipment, pay attention to the backup alarms. Always make eye contact with the operator before walking near heavy equipment, and be sure to wear your high visibility vests when working around heavy equipment. Falls are the leading cause of fatalities in construction. 100% of fall protection is required when working at heights of 6 feet or more. If the exposure to falls cannot be eliminated, guardrails should be our first choice, and personal fall arrest as the last choice. Working without fall protection will not be tolerated. Guardrails, when installed, must be a height of 42 inches plus or minus 3 inches and include a mid-rail. Guardrails must withstand 200 pounds of force and include a toe board if workers will be below. Warning lines should be used to keep people out of the area and not as fall protection. Warning lines, if used, must be installed a minimum of 15 feet from any leading edge, unless engaged in roofing activities on a low slope roof. If guardrails are removed, a personal fall arrest system should be used. All workers using a personal fall arrest system must first receive training on proper fall management. These systems must be worn with the intention that you will be falling. They are not intended as window dressing. Many fatalities have occurred with personal fall arrest systems because the worker did not select an adequate anchor point and it gave way. Personal fall arrests consist of properly fitted harnesses, lanyard, or retractable connectors, and an anchor point. Always try to anchor the lanyard or retractable overhead, but not less than a D-ring height. If using a 6-foot shock-absorbing lanyard, you will need approximately 18 feet of clearance below. Anchor points must be capable of withstanding 5,000 pounds of force. When using a personal fall arrest system, inspect your fall arrest system each day and before use. Lanyards must never be wrapped back onto itself. Hook-to-hook connections should never be allowed because it can allow rollout. All hooks must be the double locking type with the locking mechanism tested each day. Do not wander more than 30 degrees from the anchor point to avoid swing falls. And retractable lifelines must always be connected to the D-rings of the harness and never to the shock-absorbing lanyard. Floor holes that we create or created by other contractors must be protected. The exposure is from us stepping or falling through the hole or from dropping tools and materials to workers below. If covers are removed, fall protection may be required. All holes or depressions greater than 2 inches in their least dimension must be protected by a floor hole cover or guardrails. When using floor hole covers, they must be capable of supporting 2 times their intended load. All floor hole covers must be blocked or secured against movement, and all floor hole covers must be marked with the word hole or cover. All workers using scaffolding must first go through training. All scaffolding must be inspected each day prior to use by a competent person. All working surfaces of scaffolding must be fully planked. All scaffolding and personnel must be kept a minimum of 10 feet from overhead power lines. All planks must be of scaffold grade. All planks must overlap end rails by 12 inches with gaps between planks and scaffold uprights not more than 1 inch wide. All access to scaffolding must be from a fixed ladder attached to the scaffolding, scaffold stair tower, secured extension ladder, or an integral evenly spaced frame ladder. And workers must never climb cross bracing or framework not considered a ladder. Numerous fatalities occur each year on construction sites from improper ladder use. Ladders may need to be held in place by coworkers if they are not yet or cannot be secured. All ladders should be inspected before use. Extension ladders should be set up at a 4:1 base to height ratio. All extension ladders must be secured at the top to prevent movement. All ladders must extend a minimum of 3 feet past the landing when used as access. And never work with your belly button outside of the side rails. Step ladders are one of the most misused pieces of equipment on a construction site. Always use the right ladder for the job. All step ladders must be set up in fully opened and locked position. Step ladders should never be leaned up against a wall and climbed on. And the top of the ladder and top step should never be stood on. Aerial lifts are a safe means to work at elevated heights when used properly. Always review and assess the areas the lifts will be driven on before operating the lift. During this assessment, you'll be looking for holes, indentations, or poor soil conditions. Tip-over lifts from these sources are a leading cause of lift-related fatalities. Aerial lifts include scissor lifts and articulating booms lifts. All operators of these lifts must first be trained before using them. All articulating lifts require the use of a personal fall arrest system. Secure all gates or chains on scissor lifts before raising them. Never use forklifts to raise personnel. And never stand on rails, buckets, or ladders in a lift. All excavations must be inspected each morning by a competent person before entering them and during the day if conditions change. All excavations must be supervised by a competent person. All utilities must be properly located and supported prior to and during excavations. All spoil piles must be set back at least 2 feet from the excavation edge. All excavations 4 feet or deeper require a ladder every 25 foot of travel for safe egress. And all excavations 5 feet or deeper, or less, if warranted, require some sort of protective system. Your supervisor shall evaluate the workplace to determine if any spaces are permit-required confined spaces. All permit-required confined spaces are to be labeled with danger signs. No employee may enter a permit-required confined space without authorization by Scherrer Construction Company Incorporated and a company-approved permit to work in that area. All employees working in confined spaces shall be trained in the hazards involved, proper usage of equipment, and company permit requirements. Contact your supervisor for more information or to get training. Substance abuse can lead to serious injuries to you and your coworkers and will not be tolerated on Scherrer construction jobs. We are committed to a drug-free workplace. Using drugs or alcohol goes against our commitment to safety, and if you need help or suspect anyone is under the influence of drugs or alcohol, contact your supervisor immediately. The Scherrer Construction Company Incorporated superintendent will provide the following information to you before starting work at this job site. After completing this orientation, and having gone over specific site items with the superintendent, you will be required to complete the orientation receipt stating that you understand and will follow the rules of this job site. As a recap, be sure to always report accidents or injuries to your supervisor immediately, no matter how small they may be. Report all COVID-19 symptoms or close contacts to your supervisor. We are committed to having you know the hazards of your work. The safety depends on you and everyone around you, and we will not tolerate violations of safety rules. Finally, stop work immediately if you see an unsafe condition or behavior. Welcome to Scherrer Construction. We thank you for your commitment to making this a safe and successful job.